Welcome to Something Borrowed Blue Ridge, a space where brides and grooms share all about their big day and all the details that made their day so unforgettable. I'm Sarah, your host, and I want to let you know that you can take Something Borrowed Blue Ridge on the go through any podcasting service or watch our podcast to see all the pictures, details, and beautiful moments of our couple's days on our YouTube channel. I'm so glad you are here, and I cannot wait for the conversations to begin. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Something Borrowed Blue Ridge. I am so glad that you are here. Today on the podcast, we have a wonderful couple, Taylor and Scot, that I have known forever. And I'm really excited to be able to talk with them more about their big day, not only because they're really close friends of mine, but also because I was able to be their day of coordinator and plan with Taylor and Scot as they were getting ready for their big day. So I am super excited to dive into their day and tell you all about it. So, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you on, Taylor and Scot. So the first question is just, who are you and how did you and Scot and Taylor, how did you meet each
other? I'm Scot. I'm Taylor's husband.
I'm Taylor.
Thank you for having us on, Sarah.
I'm super excited.
Yeah. Well, we knew each other since middle school. We went to the same middle school together back home in North Carolina. But I don't know. She was just kind of someone I knew of then. Yeah. Like we weren't really friends in middle school. And we knew each other in high school too.
Might have had a teeny crush on it.
Mm-hmm. I had heard that rumor that Taylor maybe had a little crush on me. And then, but we were on separate paths. We went to different colleges. And then our junior year of college, at the end of our junior year of college, I decided I think I'm going to add Taylor to my Snapchat and see where we go from there. And we started Snapchatting each other. And then Taylor asked me out on a date to go get some ice cream. And then we decided to get married. Yeah. Eventually.
We can't forget Sarah's role in all this because the first time I Snapchatted him, I was leaving the hair salon, feeling good, feeling confident. And then I sent him a Snapchat. And then I immediately was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And so then I snapped him back and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to send that to Sarah. Because I thought S and for Sarah, S for Scott, that would be a believable lie because I was chickening out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I'm really glad you brought that up too, because I was like, I don't know if she's gonna, or if either of y'all are gonna bring up the fact that this was a definitely long time crush. Yes. Taylor and I can talk about that part because Scot, I mean, it was seriously the most interesting thing because Taylor and I knew Taylor had a crush on you. And you were roommates with Mason, my husband. Yep. And so this whole time, Taylor and I had been texting oh, I'm really whatever, I have this crush on Scot, but we could never I don't know, we didn't want it to be not organic how you met, because we were you just need to if it's meant to be, it'll be. But definitely Taylor had a crush on you. For sure. And then when you added her on Snapchat, I remember the day because Taylor texted me in all caps, oh my gosh, Scott added me on Snapchat. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And then the rest is history. So it was so cool to really see. I mean, it's crazy because we all have known each other since middle school, elementary school for me and Taylor. Oh, yeah. And so it's just crazy to see that whole evolution of a relationship happen from, just a crush to the inevitable Snapchat to we're married. Yeah, and then now you're married. So that is so cool. I love that. So next question, and Scot, I'm gonna throw this one to you. Proposal. Tell me about your proposal, the planning process, all of that.
Yeah, well, I definitely wanted to make it a nice and sentimental experience. So we just kind of made a day out of it. I didn't try to keep it too secret because I knew Taylor knew it was coming. I knew she was aware. I talked to her dad the month before, and this was at Christmas time in 2019. So we were both home for Christmas break. So I thought, this is a good time to do it. So in that time between Christmas and New Year's, when you don't really know what day it is and everybody's just off work and stuff, I took her on a little just day trip around through all the favorite things we've done together. We went to our favorite breakfast restaurant, and I kind of want to try to keep her on her toes a little bit. And so I try to drop little little surprises throughout the day, where I had a little something in my pocket and say, Taylor, a very important question for you. Would you please look at this receipt I found? I don't remember what it's from. And then we went to our favorite art museum we'd been to back in Hickory, North Carolina. And we went shoe shopping too.
Oh yeah, you bought me a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to get a girl to marry you, just get her shoes.
Yeah. There you go. And I had tried on a pair of shoes. And I got down to tie it. Or I said, I also did a little fake proposal there as I got down on one knee to tie my shoe.
I was like, I know he's not proposing to me in the shoe store.
I wasn't. Let's see where else we go. We went to our favorite park. We'd always walk around, and we went and had a little. It was a really nice, really pretty warm winter day, so we took a little walk in the park, and then I took her up on a nice mountain overlook where we went when we first started dating, and that's where I asked her to be my girlfriend for the first time. So I had some prepared words for her, and there up on the mountain, I did the real thing, and then I asked her if she would marry me, and I'm thankful she said yes.
That is so sweet. Taylor, tell me your perspective now.
So when he like first reached in his pocket at the restaurant, I was like, please no. Like I was like, maybe he's a boy and doesn't realize how much girls have been looking forward to this their whole life. Like, please got in this restaurant. But then like he made the whole day out of it, and it was really sweet. And you also played a part in our proposal, because we hadn't seen each other in forever, and then I happened to see you like the weekend maybe before we got engaged, and then like you were one of the first people I told too, because we were just talking about like, maybe he's gonna propose soon.
Yes, I remember that, because we had been able to see each other, because it's just living so far away from each other. We saw each other that weekend before, and I remember us talking about it. We're like, well, who knows? Like, is it gonna happen? We don't know. And then I remember you texting me, or maybe you called me. I don't remember, but I know that you let me know ASAP, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited to find out. And you sent me a picture of the ring, which was absolutely beautiful. I love it. I love your like style. It's just really unique, and it matches y'all, which is awesome.
Thank you.
So that is a really cool story to hear about your whole proposal. And now let's move into the engagement. How long were you engaged before you actually got married?
It was 1 year, 4 months, and
Scott's done the math on
that. And 13 days, because it was December 28th, and we got married April 10th. So
I love it.
Basically, so year and 4 months and change. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to wait any longer to get married. I was ready. I didn't know it took so long to plan a wedding when I proposed. I thought, what's this going to be, like 3 months? We can knock this out.
I was like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more than you think. And talking about that, tell me about sort of what was your favorite part when you were thinking about planning for your big day? What was like your favorite part in the planning piece?
So for me, honestly, I think like just based off the inspiration pictures, like almost all of them were like flower oriented. So for me, I think I like geared everything for like what flowers are in season, what color flowers can we get. So that was my starting point. But just because I worked at a florist, so that was kind of like my inspiration for all of that. So
for sure.
I enjoyed the cake tasting the most.
That was also a good part.
That was good. Mm-hmm.
Always can't forget the cake. That is always a winner. Taylor, I'm really glad that you mentioned that. In preparing for this episode and thinking about like some like Instagram posts and things about that like coming up, I'm planning on actually asking our viewers to guess what your occupation is based on your Instagram alone. And I think they're going to be able to guess it pretty easy, because you have definitely florals, which makes total sense for you. So Taylor, how long have you worked in the flower horticulture industry?
So Like I started like doing yard work for people and like planting flowers for people like in middle school, but then in high school, I had to do an internship for a project in one of my ag classes. And I actually started like doing an internship at Wildflowers Florist, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I loved it. So then I worked there for like 6 years.
That's amazing. So, and now you, and we'll talk about this later, but like now so you're working as a professor, correct? You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm an adjunct professor at Tidewater Community College in Virginia. I'm at the Chesapeake campus. And I also am like a horticulture lab assistant. Like we kind of grow the plants for the students to study and maintain the plant material for them to propagate and like maintain the lab and stuff. So it's really fun.
That is so cool. And so now I have to start showing the inspiration pictures because we have to see these florals in action. And then we'll also talk about your big day. So let's see. Can y'all see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about your inspiration pictures. Tell me about these two pictures and sort of what you were picking out with them. And I'm really excited to show. My favorite thing to do is look at the inspiration pictures and then look at your day. So we'll start with inspiration and tell me about sort of the planning process and all of that.
So, I mean, as you guys can clearly see, all of this is like floral inspired. But for the colors, we wanted to do like jewel tones because I love flowers, but Scott also has a hobby of like collecting rocks and minerals, and he's really into geology. So we thought like jewel tones would be a way to combine both of our interests into our big day.
Yeah,
I love that. Absolutely. Scott, do you want to share anything about it?
Yeah, well, I recognize all these pictures. Taylor showed me these a lot in the wedding planning process. We thought about trying to have some pieces from my like collection displayed in the for centerpieces for tables and stuff, like some nice amethysts and other blue and purple stones, but that would kind of be stressful to coordinate that going back to Virginia immediately after everything. So we didn't end up doing that, and didn't want anything to get damaged or anything in the move and all that. But yeah, I really like all the stuff Taylor picked, nice and kind of springy, I thought, for like April and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. And I can totally see the jewel tones too. And I love that. I didn't know that piece. And I talked about this in the intro, how I helped with coordination for your day. And I did not know that, but it totally tracks. I totally see that. So that's really cool. Okay. And so your next pictures that you sent are all florals. Tell me about these.
So both of those bouquets have peonies. The large, like fluffy pink flowers are peonies. And those are some of my personal favorites. My great aunt actually gave me my first peonies from her garden, and she's passed away. So peonies kind of hold a special place in my heart. So I knew I wanted peonies. Like that was kind of like my focal flower that I wanted everything else to coordinate with. But I also love like the dark pinks and the greens and all the other colors that just kind of really, I felt like played well with my theme.
Yeah, I love that. Scott, do you want to share any about this, or is florals more Taylor's game?
I don't know what to say other than they're nice and pretty flowers. Yeah, I was happy with what Taylor picked.
No, you're totally
It was good though to see like that part of Taylor be able to come out in her special day, that was something that's so important to her that obviously flows very well right into a wedding. So it was almost like a little visual representation of part of Taylor there for the wedding. So that was really nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to ask, before we jump into your pictures, I do want to ask, how did you go about choosing your venue and choosing like sort of where you would get married? Because you mentioned that you were moving to Virginia right after. So tell us a little bit about that process and even going into like choosing vendors and that sort of thing.
So when we booked our venue, it was February 2020, and we were originally just planning to have the reception there. And then our guest list was massive at that point. So we were going to have it in the church that I went to because it could hold a lot of people. But then COVID hit and a lot of people were uncomfortable. And so our venue offered an outside option, which worked out perfectly. So we were like, hey, let's just have the ceremony there. It was COVID, so reduced guest list. So we were able to fit we were able to fit people. Unfortunately, some people weren't able to be there, but I think it worked out really well.
Yeah. And I definitely wanted to get married kind of in our hometown, since that's so special to both of us that we're both from the same small rural county. And we've always appreciated just the natural countryside and everything and how pretty our hometown is. And so it was important to me to be able to get married and be able to get married there and just view the nice natural landscapes there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another aspect that went into kind of helping pick our venue is we had done several weddings there at Wildflowers. So I had seen different setups of like how they set up, this space and this space. And like, I already could get some ideas in my head and kind of mentally plan how I wanted things because I was really familiar with it. So
yeah,
for sure. And Taylor, did you play a part in creating the flowers at all for your day?
I did. Like, I actually got to make Scott's boutonniere, and I left a little note with it, like, you're going to be such a handsome groom.
And I was. Mm-hmm. I was.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of cool because for the big day, Darlene was like, okay, go in the cooler. Like, is this what you want? Like, just whatever. So that was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I had honestly, because I had set up for so many, I was like, you know what, let's just do it simple. And then Darlene's like, no. Like, you work at Wildflowers. We are going to go over the top. And we did.
Oh, I love it. And Darlene is wonderful. For anybody who is local,
yes.
Darlene did the weddings did the flowers for my wedding as well. And I've worked with her on many weddings too. And she is fantastic. Everyone at Wildflowers is fantastic. So if you're local, highly recommend Darlene and Wildflowers. They're just awesome. Yeah, and so okay, I'm going to share my screen again and we'll look at some of your pictures now. This is one more inspiration picture and then we'll look at your pictures. So tell me about this one.
So we wanted just something super simple. We ended up only having a small cake for us and whoever wanted strawberry, but we also had like cupcakes made in different flavors so that everyone would kind of have something that they would be interested in. But we like the simplicity of just like the berries, and the berries flowed really well into our color scheme. So
yeah, I wanted to kind of keep it simple too and focus on what it's really about, which is how good the cake tastes. And the more pretty it is, you start to get away from what it's really about. And so I also liked simple cake with those pretty bright fruits in there too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love that you included, like you said, the fruits go really, really well with your flowers. So that's just so cool. I like how you've really combined some pieces of like the natural world. Like I'm thinking like geology, fruits, all of the things, and with your flowers, and just combine it all to make this just like wonderful, almost not theme, but like at least inspiration. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at some of your pictures, y'all, oh my gosh. I have not even been able to see that many of your pictures. So getting to look at some of these pictures has just been amazing. So I really appreciate you sharing some of these. So let's go ahead and talk about the first one.
Yeah, so that's my bouquet and my veil and my shoes that I wore. The bouquet has a lot of peonies and the blues and the reds, but one thing that didn't make it in are some of the purple tones because a storm actually came up like near the equator where the flowers are grown, so that kind of inhibited us being able to get some of the purples, but it still turned out really beautifully. My veil was cathedral length because I wanted something like long and dramatic for pictures, and then my shoes are just really comfortable and cute, and I thought that the colors matched the theme, and I thought, you know what, like it was my biggest fear that I was going to fall going down the aisle, or like just, I don't know, because when we first planned it, we were going like down a grass hill, but then it was drizzly for our wedding day, so we ended up having a super short aisle and it wouldn't have been a problem. But I was scared of going down the grass hill in like fancy shoes. So
it was originally quite a walk.
Oh yeah, it was a long walk.
And then with our backup rain plan, it was in a smaller area. Yeah, wasn't too big of a deal.
Yeah, and those shoes are perfect, and they were so comfy.
I was glad Taylor picked comfy shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. There's nothing worse than being miserable in your shoes. And especially even like going into it, having like that anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I've got to walk down this ginormous hill, which it was a huge hill.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any pictures of it, but it was. And so I love that you like pre-planned that out and thought, how can we problem solve? And also chose something that was so perfect to go with your flowers and your day overall. And you were super comfortable. So 10 out of 10. So let's see. Okay, this picture. I love this, especially because I can really see what you were talking about with your invitation inspiration. So tell me about this.
So I loved the floral print on the like surrounding the words on the invitations. And it also kind of had like that peony detail. I don't know if you can see, but those little pinks, they were kind of blurred out, but those are peonies. And I also love like the way our rings look in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I went with bronze for my rings. I felt like it went well with Taylor's rose gold. And I really enjoyed picking up my ring a lot. It means a lot to me because with my rock collection, yeah, I really like little odds and ends and trinkets and shiny things. So I was excited to get my own ring. And but yeah, and so yeah, Taylor's rose gold ring, and so I wanted something that kind of matched and something simple but also unique. And so I went with bronze for mine. Nothing too flashy, but still unique and something I can look at every day. So yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And while we're on the topic of rings, Scott, how did you pick out Taylor's ring? Like just the unique, was it something that she had like pinned a bunch of Pinterest pictures of similar rings, or is it something you just found and thought like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for Taylor?
Yeah, kind of both. It's opal in rose gold and set and surrounded in diamonds. And opal is Taylor's birthstone. And so that's always kind of special to her. And I was more than willing to pick out an alternate kind of gemstone for, me and my mineral hobbies and stuff. And I always thought it was a great stone because it's like a neutral with all the colors in there, but it still has the unique flashes of color and everything, but it's not too much. It's still subtle enough to fit in with other things. But but she had an extensive Pinterest list of rings for me to go through and try to develop some average and algorithm to use that to find to pick out a ring for her. And I found a seller in Sweden who designs opal rings, because it was it's not easy to find opal engagement rings that aren't really gaudy or really cheap either. So I found a seller called Sunday Island in Sweden who makes the rings to order, and so I ordered her one from there.
That is so awesome. I love it. It's just so unique. And I remember when Taylor sent me a picture of her ring right after she let me know that she had gotten engaged. And I was so excited, but I was just like, oh my gosh, that is just an absolute beautiful ring. And I just loved how unique it was and so special to both of y'all. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, and I've got your photographer down here too, just for anybody who's interested in who took your pictures. I've got that on there. So tell me about this one. I love the shot. Tell me about it.
So we had done a style shoot with Wildflowers at the Emerald Hill. And for the style shoot, we had done like that little greenery cloud over the bride and groom table, but just greenery. But I was like, you know what, for my day, I think we should have some flowers draping down from there. So I've been thinking about that for months. And then I had seen like this picture on Pinterest where with the drapey florals. So I really loved that. And then our cake, our little small cake, and then our cupcake buffet to the side. That was really fun.
Yeah, I just thought that was a really pretty setup. I really enjoyed being, that's probably my favorite part after the wedding, to be able to sit there at the end of the crowd, kind of at like the head of the table. And I felt very important, very honored, in a very pretty place. So I enjoyed our little table there a lot.
Yeah, it was a great space for y'all to be able to actually enjoy each other and enjoy your meal, and not, be like right in the middle of everything, but also is just so special. And I loved the greenery cloud, which I love that, with the flowers draping down, that it just ties everything perfectly together. And I know we have a close-up picture of your cake. I'm not sure if it's next. It's not, but we'll get to that. I do want to talk about your cake a little bit more. Tell me about this part.
Sure. So for the favors, I wanted to, again, like tie in my love for plants and horticulture. And I actually got these from a friend that I worked with. Her yard is just amazing. Like, these things are growing like prolifically. And she's like, hey, I'll share, like, do you want to come and get these? So I brought the soil and the pots, and we like literally potted them up from her yard. And it was a super like cute and cost-effective favor that people can continue to enjoy year after year and think of our fun day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was good to be able to give away plants that they can grow and flourish as our love grows and flourishes.
Absolutely. And I loved the setup of it too. I just love everything about this picture, honestly. And just like it, I feel like it's just gorgeous. I mean, I don't know. It just brought it back to whenever we were setting it up and looking at that. Like, I don't know. It just is beautiful. Just absolutely gorgeous. And so fresh, and like, I don't know how to describe it, but I just love it. Love everything about it. Yeah. So that is awesome. So this one, this picture. Tell me about this picture.
So this is one of my favorites. This is going to sound really vain, but this is like one of the best shots of my sleeves on my dress, because like when I was wedding dress shopping, I wanted something with like lace and sleeves. So I love like the dramatic sleeve and flowy look. I also love the arch flowers. And the branches that you see, and some of like the green viney branches, were actually taken a couple days before the wedding from plants from my grandfather's yard. My grandfather passed away a few months before my wedding, and my grandmother also had passed away before my wedding years before. So that was kind of a cool way to tie in like just a little piece of like memories of them and playing in their yard, because they couldn't be there for my big day. So I loved having that element in there.
I like it because that's when we're about to get married.
Yes, of course. And Taylor, it is not vain at all to be talking about your sleeves. This is the perfect sleeve shot. Oh my gosh. And I'm glad, like, this is really cool because we've seen like all the detail shots so far. But this is really your, like, this is y'all. Like, we're actually seeing y'all on your day. We've seen so many like detail and planning pieces. But this picture I just absolutely love. I love how the arch really frames y'all, and with the flowers and the extra special pieces that were within that you just talked about. And like you said, I mean, it just is a great shot of y'all's wonderful outfits, your suit and dress, and seeing, you can see even that boutonniere, which we'll see a close-up picture soon, but yeah, and your sleeves, which are so cool. Wait to talk about the sleeve. And then let's see. So now we get a little bit into the fun pictures. Well, I mean, they're all fun. I love them all. But like this one, I have never seen at a wedding, and y'all know I have worked like a ton of weddings. I've never seen this. So let's talk about this one.
So,
well, Taylor absolutely loves sheep and lambs. Always. I think she knows where every sheep is in Alexander County. So she, because when we're at home, she wants me to drive by the places where the sheep are so we can look at them. And then Ashley Lineberry, who did our venue, her sister works on a farm, and they said, hey, we could have some like animals for you if you wanted. Did she just bring that up? Did she offer that?
I think it was like when I was there for setting up something for another wedding or something, and I was talking to Ashley that owns the venue, and she said, yeah, it's crazy, these brides wanted some pictures with the cow pasture next door, so we're like, okay, we'll take you to the cow pasture. And so then they started incorporating animals, because one bride started like wanting to go to the cow pasture, and others were interested too when they saw that she had posted a picture of that bride with the cows. And so I was just kind of like joking around, like, oh, do you have lambs? And they're like, yeah, we can get lambs. So like, okay,
yeah,
I want some lambs.
This is Taylor's special day, and it would be picturesque, and she will love it. So let's do that.
Yeah.
The white one is lamby-lamb, and the brown one is Toby.
Yeah, they came named, and they had actually worked with these lambs to make them like really sweet and docile. Like they were almost like puppies.
And they're bottle fed.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they were so sweet. Taylor, I remember from like the very first moment I stepped into the venue on that day, you were talking about the lambs. You were so excited about the lambs. You're like, yeah, they're bringing lambs. It's gonna be so cool. And like, I honestly did not know what to expect. Because, like I said, I've never seen that at a wedding, but these pictures, and not even the pictures, but the joy that I saw with you two, these lambs. I mean, I just think that it shows through so easily through the lens, just how excited you were. And really, it's just how excited you were to see each other and be together, while also getting to take these awesome pictures with these really cute lambs. So I love that piece. I love that. That is. I
was also worried Lamb was going to go for that bouquet there, and I got a pretty good grip on his harness.
Yes. A good concern. Good job. I'm glad you didn't think about that, because I'm sure that lamby-lamb would have loved a bite of peony. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this picture, and let me see if I can move my little video here so that you can see. Okay, so this picture, tell me about this one. This one really shows the landscape well, and maybe we can talk about that initial walk and sort of where we ended up at too.
Yeah, I really love this picture. It's one of my favorites, but I think I've said that about a couple of these. But I love the landscape, and I just love how like the florals pop against, all the green and against our clothes. And I just love, like, how lovely look at it.
Yeah, I know. We were blessed. We got a break from the rain to go outside. It was kind of intermittent rain all day, but I really like how it turned out overcast. I think it makes the green and my gray suit pop out really well in Taylor's colors. So I like the weather, honestly. I was actually hoping it would be raining and thundering during the wedding, because we were inside or under the awning, so it would just make it kind of more cinematic and dramatic. So, but it didn't thunder during the wedding.
Hey, that's okay. But yeah, that rain though, it really was a good break. And I think for anybody who's not from Taylorsville or has never been, this shows a really good landscape picture of sort of what you see in Taylorsville, which is just a lot of like rolling hills, and like it's called the foothills, and it's really beautiful. I don't know if people know about it, but it's a really good place to be and place to get married.
Yeah. This is just a pretty average chunk of it, like this, just a simple average everyday scene you'd see driving by, but it's beautiful.
For sure. And what we were talking about earlier, with so this was our plan B. Oh my gosh, what a gorgeous plan B. But I think it's something important for brides and grooms to consider is having a plan B, because it does sometimes rain, or you don't know if it's going to rain, or it might rain and you don't know. So you end up putting it, you need to have a plan B. But it is nice that your venue had such a beautiful plan B, because right behind this, which you can't see it as much in this, was just that gorgeous landscape that you see, that sort of foothills. So it was just beautiful. Okay, so we had to pull a picture up from a drive because I somehow missed getting it in the slideshow, and it's such a cool picture. Tell me about this picture.
So there's our cake. We were originally just going to do like a small cake just for, us and the wedding party. And we picked different colors or different flavors of cupcakes, like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, red velvet. so that each guest would kind of have something that they might be more inclined to enjoy. But one of my favorite parts about the day was actually the cake, because we wanted to do something a little bit different. Because of COVID, our venue had some like sanitation requirements, which I'm all for. I love that sanitation. But they wanted somebody to serve the food instead of just like everybody buffet getting it, you know. So Scott and I wanted to personally serve each of our guests, because the people, because our guest list was so small, the people there were like really our core people. So we wanted to do something and kind of serve the people that had served us and poured into us for, you know, years and years. So, and they gave us a chance to really get a moment to interact with each person as they came through the dessert line. So we loved getting to hand everybody a cupcake or a piece of cake as they came through.
Yeah. And that was Taylor's idea, and that was one of my favorite parts too, because I didn't get to, you know, personally have a conversation with everyone, but we could still, you know, see everyone in line and give them a cupcake and say hi and everything. So that was a great way to give a little bit back and to still be able to touch base with everyone for a second as they come by. So yeah, that was a good idea.
I loved this like so much. And I remember you telling me this, and I was a little like, I just had never heard of it before. I had never heard of anybody doing this, because I don't think anybody has done this before. So very unique. But I love that what you're saying about not just, you know, it's not just that you were serving because of COVID and whatever, but like really because you're serving the people who have been such an integral part of your life, which I love that. And I also really appreciate that you took time to speak to each of your guests in that way. Through that sort of like special serving moment, you also got to see everybody. So it's just like a, you know, it's just awesome. You just get to see both parts. So I love that. And that's why I was so upset when I saw on my slideshow I didn't have this picture, because I wanted to show it. And if y'all didn't bring it up, I was going to bring it up. So I'm glad that you did. Because that was one of my favorite parts of your day as well. We've looked at all of your pictures. We looked at your inspiration and your detail pictures and your wedding day pictures. And so now I want to talk about some of your vendors, which I know we've mentioned a few, but are there any incredible vendors or people that you would like to shout out or rave about to our listeners?
Well, I guess I'm a little partial, but I'd have to say Wildflowers florist if you're in North Carolina. And honestly, Sarah was a huge help. Because like she did so much, like I'm sure that I don't even know what all she had to like coordinate and like get done that had slipped my mind or just needed to be done that day. So she was a true hero.
There's quite a bit that can slip Taylor's mind.
Oh yeah.
Believe it or not. No, but you did a great job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you.
I guess not everybody's going to be local, but we had Apple City Barbecue do our cater our wedding, or bring the food for our wedding, and that was some delicious local barbecue. That was good.
If you're looking for a local venue, the Emerald Hill was really great. If you're looking for some of that foothill scenery.
Absolutely.
And Three Forks Cakes, they did a great job.
I was going to ask who did your cake. That was actually a question I was going to ask y'all.
April at Three Forks.
I love it. Well, I just have to talk about how awesome it was to be able to be your coordinator and planner. And, you know, Taylor did all the planning. I don't want to take any credit for the planning. We had some planning calls here and there, but like really Taylor was doing all the legwork. I just did day of coordination. Because for our listeners who may or may not have listened to their first episode, I'm a teacher too. So I teach and then do coordination sometimes. But when Taylor asked me, I was like, oh my gosh, of course, because Taylor and I have been friends since kindergarten. I mean,
forever. I don't remember not being friends.
Exactly. I don't remember. Same. I do not remember not being friends. And so for me, it's really special when I get to be there on such a close friends day as a coordinator. And, you know, I don't know if anybody who is thinking about going in the coordination business or anything, but if you are in the wedding coordination or wedding planning in that realm, it's really special because you get to be with the bride and her dad right before they walked down the aisle, and you get to see it from like a whole different perspective. And so getting to be there with you on that day, I remember your nerves. I remember
Yes.
that we had a lot of change because we had, the rain plan, and we had some things moving, but it was just really cool to be there for you on that day. So I appreciate you asking me, because it was just absolutely wonderful. So what advice would you give to a bride or groom to be? And it could be about planning, it could be about your wedding day, any of that. What advice do you have to give?
I was at a wedding last month, and the pastor actually said something that really resonated with me. He said, the words in the ceremony take a moment to say, but a lifetime to live out. And I think there were times in the planning process where I completely got so absorbed in planning that I forgot like the purpose of the planning, like was to get to spend the rest of my life loving my best friend. So if you're a bride or a groom and you feel like you've got like a bajillion things to check off your checklist, like don't forget, like that's why you're doing what you're doing, is all leading up to getting to marry your best friend.
And I would also say this is much more practical than that sweet thing you just said, but make sure you get all the photos you want, because there were one or two shots that we didn't specify we wanted that we didn't end up getting, and we would have liked to have had. So don't forget to be very clear with your photographer about all the different photos you want and stuff. I thought Taylor's company shoes were a great idea. We were blessed with the forcible trim to our guest list brought about by COVID-19. That was helpful, but I think it very, very much made the day much more able to not have to invite everyone we know, but just to be able to have our core people that we truly wanted to be there and to enjoy being there. And so at the end of the day, it's about Taylor and us, and it was nice to be able to have a not as stressful of a guest list.
And one thing I forgot to mention is we also did like a virtual ceremony. Scott's sister's now fiance did, like, he is a news reporter, or a sportscaster. Sportscaster. Sorry, a sportscaster in Columbia. So he actually shot footage of our whole day like it was a news event, so that our virtual friends and family that couldn't be there in person could still like have a part in our day, and that was really fun too. So
they're still watching it, being invited to and watching the ceremony, just remotely through our live stream, which is a great blessing of modern technology.
Absolutely. Even my grandmother tuned in.
I'm so glad that your Nana got
so excited. Yeah, she was so excited, and it was so cool. I heard him walking around and doing the like narration of the day, and I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was so awesome. But you also got that intimacy and requirements as well with safety and health, which were important in 2021. But we definitely, I think it brought that intimacy. But what were some of your favorite parts of the day, or the memories that meant the most to you?
Serving the cupcakes was a special moment, and also a moment that I didn't expect to be so special was I had heard all day like people saying like, oh, the reception space looks so beautiful. Oh, everything, the flowers are looking so beautiful. Like everything is coming together, and like seeing everything, like walking into the reception, like as bride and groom, like, and seeing all that space, and like seeing, like, after doing, I don't know, countless weddings at Wildflowers, like seeing the flowers that were for me and for us. And seeing like how all of our hard work kind of came together.
I mean, yeah, obviously marrying the love of my life was my favorite part of the day. But some things that kind of stuck with me. We exchanged gifts beforehand. Taylor had we didn't before the first look. Taylor sent a gift for the photographer to deliver to me, and that it was cufflinks made of malachite, which is my favorite stone. My rock hobby keeps coming up throughout this thing, but that meant so much to me to have just like an extra little thing that my wife, and she had a beautiful note with it, or my future wife, something that she got for me and thought of and planned ahead for everything with that. And that meant a lot to me. It was like a little teaser, a little appetizer before the first look.
So I think in the note I said something about these malachite cufflinks, and he hadn't even opened the gift. So
yeah,
I waited all that time and kept that secret to like blow it. And
but I thought, classic Taylor.
That's amazing.
But yeah, and it was so fun just to have all of our people there and to have different paths intersecting. That like, hey, my preacher gets to meet Sarah Bowman now. That's cool. And like my friends from different groups, like getting to meet each other and family and friends in church. Again. Yeah. A little reunion with my college roommates. So that was good.
And since we were moving to Virginia, or Scott already lived in Virginia, but I was moving to Virginia, it was really nice to have like that one moment where everyone was together before I had to leave. So like, I think I shut the place down, like we were so last people to leave, because I don't know, I was having so much fun seeing everybody one last time for a while.
Yeah, that was hard to say bye to everyone. And definitely our little personal Mr. and Mrs. table up at the front of the room after the wedding ceremony. That was really nice to just be able to sit together and alone and just be able to talk and whisper to each other and stuff. And that was fun. That was a nice little peaceful, happy lull after in the middle of everything, to just be able to relax and eat cake together. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love that. I love all the little special moments that you plan and do all this work, but then I feel like the most important and special pieces are the times when you're just getting to spend time together and with the ones you love, and that's what it's all about, getting married and getting to spend time together and spend the rest of your life together. So that is awesome. So speaking of the rest of your life, tell us a little bit about sort of where you are now and anything going on.
We're living in Suffolk, Virginia. I moved here to work at Orville Naval Shipyard for the Navy, and Taylor was brave, and she came up here just by herself without a set job or anything to go to, and works at Tidewater Community College using her horticulture degree there. And we've adopted 2 cats since we've been married. Taylor had to beg me to not get a cat before she got here, because then it would be my best friend and not like her. And so we waited to adopt cats together. And they are with the flower theme.
Yeah, Poppy and Violet. But they came with those names. Like that's what their names were before we adopted them. So then when we saw like them and their names, we're like, oh my gosh, these are them. Like they're meant to be. They're coming home with us.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely have a little bit of culture shock going from the rural setting of Alexander County to a big metropolitan area. But we can walk to the grocery store and the restaurants aren't all 10, 15 minutes away.
Yeah, and the beach is like 30, 45 minutes away. So
we're close to the beach, close to a lot of history, really about 40 minutes away from Jamestown and Williamsburg and Yorktown. So I'm a big history buff, so I really enjoy that part of the area.
That is so awesome. Well, Mason and I have got to get up there and visit sometime soon.
I know, yeah, it'd be good.
Cool. And,
hope you can.
Is there anything else that y'all want to share? I know we talked a lot, so is there anything else that y'all want to share before we end out our podcast?
I don't know, this has been super fun.
I know, yeah. It's fun to reminisce about our wedding day and see our photos again. And it's been fun being on here, Sarah. So thank you very much.
Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank y'all so much for being on here. I always hope it's fun. So I'm glad to hear that it is. It's fun for me to be able to hear about all the planning pieces too, you know, especially in this case where I actually was helping Taylor with some of the planning, Taylor and Scott, with some of the planning. But you know, even some of the things I didn't know, which was just really cool to look back. And y'all have been married now for over a year, right? Because y'all got married April 10th. Yeah, I knew it was around. I almost said 8th, but April 10th. So yeah, so y'all just had your year anniversary recently. So that's so exciting. But I appreciate y'all both being on here, and we will call it a day. This has been Something Borrowed Blue Ridge. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to follow along on YouTube or your favorite podcast service, and we'll see you soon.